Good afternoon. My name is Ndhlovu. I'm originally from Zimbabwe. And before coming to America to study electrical engineering at Harvard University, I used to commute to high school every single day. And I was late to school almost every day as a result of an inefficient public transportation system. An average student who commutes to school every day in Bulawayo, Zimbabwe, loses 2 hours of productive time at school. That translates to poor grades. I believe that I was one of the lucky ones. I got good grades, got to go to a very fancy university, but the vast majority of people that commute to high school in African countries struggle a lot. And this has something to do with public transportation. A show of hands if any of you have ever used public transport before. Keep your hand up if you have ever been late using public transportation. Now, imagine if public transportation was late all the time you used it. This is a big problem that the vast majority of Africans that live in rural areas and cities experience every single day. This is primarily because public transportation is a heavily cash-based system that is run by small to medium enterprises whose buses and minibuses operate with no schedules or routes and operate in an environment that is not regulated by government. There are three primary stakeholders in the private transportation systems of, in the private transportation industries of African countries. That includes operators, drivers, and commuters. Operators hire drivers who eventually have to go around picking up commuters. With no practical way of telling how many trips drivers make or how much money they collect every day, operators essentially have a poor ticketing problem. That often leads to embezzlement, and they have no way of actually measuring performance of their drivers. Drivers have no schedules, so they don't really maximize on the number of commuters they pick or the number of trips they do per day. That results in very low revenue. On the other hand, commuters are the real victims of this whole system because most people are late to literally everything that they go to. There's a whole phrase that has been coined in African countries called African time. It's a concept where an entire society internalizes the idea of being late to things because public transportation will get you somewhere. The solution to this problem essentially is threefold. An ideal solution is one that allows operators to reduce operational inefficiencies, allows operators to reduce revenue leakages. An ideal solution is one that enables drivers to increase the number of commuters per trip and the number of trips per day. An ideal solution is one that allows commuters to get to where they need to at a very low cost and safely. We came up with such a solution at Tuverl. Tuverl is a public transportation app that seeks to make public transport in African countries cheaper and more accessible to commuters by helping public transport operators optimize their routes, reduce operational inefficiencies, and increase revenue. We built two apps, a commuter app and an operator app. The commuter app allows commuters to live track minibuses and buses. It allows commuters to pay for all their ticket fares digitally. The operator app allows operators to optimize their routes, accept digital payments, and manage their fleet. And the idea is to help public transport operators reduce operational inefficiencies and increase revenue. We have a B2B business model, and our primary customers are public transportation operators. To give you a simple unit economics of how these public transport operators essentially make money, an average bus ticket for an intercity trip costs about $10. An average trip has about 70 tickets, and they make an average of 2 trips a day, and about $1,440 every day from the businesses they conduct at full capacity. At a 5% charging 5% for the bus tickets, we estimate to be making something like $72 per single bus per day. Some of you may ask, how big is this market? Public transportation in African countries is a $60 billion total addressable market, and a serviceable, obtainable market of about $10 billion. This is our primary target market. Our primary target market includes people between the age of 18 to 24, operators between the age of 20 to 35, that live in urban areas, own smartphones, have mobile banking wallets, and use social media frequently. So these are people with very high digital literacy in general. Our competitor landscape includes some giants. There's Uber, there's Lyft, there's Google Maps, Wanderoo, Myrana, and Transit. One of the things that distinguishes us is this one thing. 80% of daily commuters use minibuses, and our app is the only one that primarily targets that specific mode of transportation. All the other apps primarily do not, and that's what makes us slightly different. We are the first we're the first to market app for minibuses. We're a one-stop shop for all public transportation. We fit customer behavior because we're targeting people that already primarily use cell phones and use fintech to pay for things that they need to every single day. We're easier to scale because public transportation is one of those things in Africa that makes the whole continent a country. It is exactly the same from Cape Town in South Africa to Cairo in Egypt. And with an app that tries to solve this public transportation problem, we believe that we can scale easily from the tip of the continent to the Horn. We did a beta test in 2018, in September 2018 and December 2018, and we're looking to do a pilot in August 2019. So in the next few months, we're essentially trying to ramp things up towards our pilot. Our core team includes me, Ndhlovu. I graduated from Harvard University with the BA in Electrical Engineering and Computer Science, and my CTO, who is a Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering. We're a very tech-heavy team, and we have a whole team of mentors that bring a ton of experience from public transportation to branding and operations and business development. We have received numerous awards from, for example, Mass Challenge. We won a few competitions in early April that include RevRoad and the Harvard College China Forum. We're currently looking to raise a pre-seed round of $150,000, and this will allow us to essentially get 30 different public transport operators in the city of Bulawayo that have a fleet of about 60 vehicles and about 1,500 commuters. We're looking for funding, and hopefully we're looking for people that can help us to network with telecommunications companies in African countries. We are hoping to buff up our team with some people who have marketing experience. And hopefully, if there's one of you here who has any experience working with African governments, please come back and talk to us. Public transportation is a very big problem in African countries. We hope by optimizing it, we can reduce the amount of productive time lost to this inefficiency. Tuverl is all about smart commuting. Let us make commuting in African countries smarter together. Thank you.